We will begin the celebration of this 90th Commencement and Founders Day by joining together in the singing of the first stanza of our national anthem. Following the singing of the national anthem, the audience is asked to remain standing for the invocation by our school chaplain, the Reverend Christopher Layton. Please let us rise.
Let us pray. Eternal God, creator and sustainer of us all, diverse though we are in age and outlook, we are one in our gratitude for thy bountiful gifts. We give thee thanks for time in its flow, the seasons in their march, the sun, moon, and stars in their movement, the earth in all its changes, firm beneath our feet. We give thee thanks for forces at work around us and within us, which call us to service, for the restlessness of the young and their vision of a world unstained by war and exploitation, for the yearnings of poets and prophets, urging us to imagine truths beyond telling, for the insights of teachers and classmates who encourage us to listen, to look, to sense the texture of time and place in its infinite detail. As we draw attention to accomplishments that set us apart, as we take steps which lead us on to different paths, let us not overlook the hopes and the fears, the daring dreams which unite us one to another. Amen.
"90 years ago this month, on June 25th, 1897, Gilman School, then known as the Country School for Boys of Baltimore City, came into existence on what is now the Homewood campus of the Johns Hopkins University. Since the first graduating class in 1903, Founders Day and Commencement have been celebrated as one ceremony. This special occasion is a time to mark the completion of studies of new graduates and also to reflect upon the basic traditions of Gilman School. In particular, on this occasion, we honor the class of 1987. Both individually and as a group, they have been an outstanding class. On behalf of the faculty, I express to this esteemed group of young men heartfelt thanks and deepest gratitude for all they have meant to and done for the school. The class of 1987 has demonstrated real leadership, always positive and enthusiastic, as clearly evidenced by the various honors that have been bestowed upon them. They have achieved an excellent overall record, and perhaps what is even more important, they have done so while maintaining a spirit of openness and concern for others. They have been a joy to have in the classroom and an inspiration in their pursuit of a great variety of worthy activities, ranging from extracurricular activities and athletics to community service. It is so very fitting that this fine group of young men were so fortunate to have the privilege of hearing the Honorable Clark Clifford's outstanding baccalaureate speech of yesterday. It is my conviction that they will long remember what Mr. Clifford so eloquently said. The highest level of academic achievement in the graduating class is recognized by selection as valedictorian. This selection is based upon a weighted average of class standing during the 4 upper school years. It is now my great privilege to introduce to you a young man who has not only achieved academic distinction as measured by grades and class rank, but who also combines to an unusually high degree consistent dedication to scholarly achievement in every field and significant contributions to a wide variety of endeavors. His academic record includes honors level courses in every area of the school curriculum. He has also compiled a distinguished record on College Board achievement tests and advanced placement examinations. He was elected to cum laude in his junior year. This occasion marks his completion of 7 years as a Gilman student. It is indeed a great honor to present to you the valedictorian of the class of 1987, Andrew Snowden Barker.
Thank you, Mr. Finney. I have never understood why this ceremony is called commencement because, frankly, I feel like I just finished. Mr. Finney, trustees, faculty, guests, and fellow classmates, what am I supposed to say? I'm 17 years old. I don't even have a high school diploma. And you, the audience, probably know a lot more about life than I do. So if anyone should be giving advice today, you should be giving it to me. But one thing I do know about is the class of 1987. I know that 12 short years ago, our class resembled an egg. Many of us were certainly rounder then than we are now, but beyond that, we were formless, lacking identity, and encased in a thick shell. Yet underneath lurked tremendous potential for excellence, intelligence, and individuality. And we all showed great promise that one day we would mature into the best of birds, eagles. 12 years ago, our formless eagle egg had reached the point where it was ready to hatch. Our parents had spent loving hours keeping us safe and warm, or should I say, sitting on us. And now we were hungry for all the worms of knowledge that we could swallow. So we were placed in a nest called Gilman, a surrogate nest, if you will, where we were coaxed to hatch. Some of us took longer than others to come out of our shells. But once we did, we saw that this nest wasn't such a bad place after all. In fact, the worms of knowledge and the crickets of character were plentiful here, and we ate heartily. There were teachers who pushed us gently and fed us on a balanced diet of knowledge and character, and we grew. We could feel our wings forming, our muscles developing, our minds maturing. We learned some tough lessons in that nest, too. We saw firsthand that the early bird really does get the worm, and that the late or delinquent bird gets to sit on Mr. Snyder's couch. And guided thus, fed well and often, interacting with our peers, we reached our first milestone, lower school graduation. We dropped our fuzzy feathers onto the floor of the lower school, and in so doing left this nest a little stronger than we found it. But what was once soft and downy became ugly and spiny and awkward, for as yet our new feathers and wings were useless. We said goodbye to the worms and crickets of the lower school, and we were made to try the rich flesh of larger animals in the middle school. It was not so sweet, this flesh, and tougher than what we were used to, but we knew that it was good for us. Higher learning is indeed an acquired taste. No one watched over us anymore to see that we did our work, but if we did not complete assignments, we were made to stay after school on Friday afternoons. And so we learned vital lessons about responsibility and accountability. Towards the end of middle school, however, we had less and less knowledge handed to us for memorization, and we began to feel antsy. We wanted to find our own food of learning now, to think for ourselves. But in order to do this, we needed to pass our second milestone. We needed to fly. It was a tough lesson and a slow one too, but with sympathy from others when we failed, encouragement when we succeeded, and a little self-confidence, we began to catch on. So we left the middle school on shaky wings and moved on to the final nest of our Gilman life, the upper school. There we sharpened our talons and our flying skills and began miserable attempts at finding our own food of learning. We got to choose our own courses, to guide our own development. But still, if we caught any food at all for ourselves, we were lucky. Excellent teachers prodded us to think for ourselves, and with a great effort, we started to tap into our God-given potential. So we spent our last years at Gilman striving for independence of thought, not always thinking what we were supposed to think, not always acquiescing, but as our prowess at satisfying our own intellectual curiosities increased, new doors opened to us, and eventually, we even conquered the world of colleges, empowered by our Gilman background. Today, we are perched atop the pinnacle of the highest peak around. And looking out over the land below, we are proud and content, and ready to leave for good our Gilman nest. But is it possible that along the way up to this peak that we have lost sight of some ideals taught to us so long ago in our first nest? Is it possible that as we began to see that there were only so many good hunting grounds below, only so many good colleges, that we began to get caught up in a race to beat our classmates, where intense competition was inevitable and false success the only goal? While standing on this summit today, we can look off into the distance and see other peaks whose attractions are false success and crass materialism. We must now fly hard, invigorated by our Gilman experience above such traps, to the mountains of virtue beyond, where the values of decency, integrity, and individuality reign. We have the capacity to make this flight, every one of us, and for this capacity, we have many to thank. All the teachers who have both fed us knowledge and kicked us out of the nest. All of our families who have served as supports and role models. We also have each other to thank, for the influence of our peers has been profound. And so, nourished and strengthened by our Gilman upbringing, full of potential still for both tremendous good and horrible evil, we must leave this pinnacle and fly on. Let us hope we will fly high and straight to our chosen destinations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andy. Most of the awards which are described in your program were presented at our special Awards Day ceremony held on May 25th. The names of the recipients of all prizes have been printed in the commencement issue of the Gilman News, which will be available outside the gymnasium after these proceedings are concluded. As was mentioned on Awards Day, Gilman School is deeply grateful to all of the families and individuals whose generosity and continued interest make possible the many meaningful prizes which are presented. We are especially grateful for the wording of the citations, which emphasize achievement in many areas, as well as qualities of character and service. I now ask Mr. Mercer Neal, head of the upper school, to join me in presenting the first group of final prizes. The William S. Thomas Scholarship Prizes for highest scholarship, emblematic of the first academic ranking in each class, have been provided by the will of Mr. Thomas. Listed in your program are the names of persons in whose honor the prizes are given. We ask the following, who are this year's leading scholars in their respective classes, to please come forward. From the 9th grade, Shi Ping Spencer Sun. From the 10th grade, Thomas James Kenny III. From the 11th grade, Samuel S. Lee. From the 12th grade, Van Clinton Durr II. And the valedictorian, Andrew Snowden Barker. I also call your attention to all of those seniors who have achieved cum laude. You will note their names in your program. On behalf of the faculty, I congratulate these students along with all upper schoolers who have achieved academic honor roll. All underclassmen who have achieved academic honor roll will be notified in the mailing of the final grade report. Each year, the National Merit Scholarship Program recognizes outstanding high school seniors from all over the country. On the basis of the preliminary scholastic aptitude test, known in short as the PSAT, taken in the fall of the junior year, students scoring highest on this examination are selected as either semifinalists or commendation winners. Then, on the basis of further college board tests and overall academic record, a semifinalist may be named a finalist. It is impressive to note that the class of 1987 has 41 of its members who have been honored by the Merit Scholarship Corporation in at least one of the aforementioned categories, including the National Merit Scholarship Program, the National Merit Achievement Program for Outstanding Negro Students, and the National Merit Hispanic Awards Program. Mr. Neal and I are very pleased to present certificates from the National Merit Corporation to 4 senior finalists, recognizing them as winners. These scholarships go to the colleges of their choice. Would the following please come forward? Thomas Mark Anal, Andrew McGregor Cameron, Craig Marquis Powell, and Kenneth D. Zaitong. It is also my pleasure to call attention to 2 other members of the class who have won academic achievement awards. One has been awarded from the Westinghouse Corporation a handsome scholarship to Joshua Frederick Ringel. The other has been awarded the Presidential Scholarship from Alfred University, which he will be attending beginning this fall, Paul M. Garcia. Will Josh and Paul please stand and be recognized? We will now proceed to the final 5 awards listed in your program. The William Cabell Bruce Jr. Athletic Prize is awarded to that boy in one of the 4 upper forms most conspicuous for general proficiency in athletic sports and exercises over a 2-year period, and this without having incurred the reproach of questionable conduct in any respect. It gives me great pleasure to present this award to a young man who has been especially outstanding as an athlete and leader and is an exemplar of the highest standards of sportsmanship. Peter Oscar Quittervich III. The Peter P. Blanchard Award goes to that boy who, by his cheerful helpfulness, in many ways has greatly contributed to the successful and pleasant life of the school. The award always goes to students who are considered especially helpful and sensitive to the needs of others. This year, the award is shared by 2 seniors, Andrew Morton Fine and Alexander Frederick Vischel. The Edward Fenimore Award is awarded to that senior whose Gilman career has been marked by extraordinary courage, determination, perseverance, and accomplishment. These qualities were especially evidenced by Eddie Fenimore while a student here at Gilman. It gives me great pleasure to present this award jointly to Andrew Snowden Barker and William Christopher Schwartz. The Daniel Baker Jr. Memorial Award is given to a member of the graduating class who, through thoughtfulness and by reason of his life and character, has contributed to the general welfare of his fellow man. It gives me great pleasure to present this award to Peter Oscar Quittervich III. The William A. Fisher Medallion is awarded on the basis of scholarship, leadership, and character to a boy of high scholastic standing who, in the opinion of the faculty, has rendered the highest service to this school. It is indeed an honor and privilege to present this award to a young man who fulfills the criteria of this distinguished prize to an exceptionally high degree. Andrew McGregor Cameron. Gilman is most fortunate not only to have outstanding students, but also a distinguished faculty. It is fitting, therefore, to take a moment at this ceremony to pay special tribute to our faculty. I would first like to recognize two teachers who are among those who are leaving us who have had an especial association with the upper school. They are Mr. Kip Jacobs, a member of our science department, a head basketball coach, and a great friend of students. And Mr. Christopher Layton, our chaplain, who has been a great source of inspiration and strength over these past 9 years. We're sorry that Mr. Jacobs is moving so far to the Midwest, but we are delighted that Mr. Layton will still be in Baltimore, and we hope to have him back on frequent occasions. We thank each of these gentlemen for all they've done for the school, and I ask you to extend them a round of applause. It has long been a tradition at Gilman to recognize each faculty member upon his or her completion of 20 years of service to the school. It gives me great pleasure this year to present engraved plates to 3 members of the Gilman faculty who have been members of the faculty for 20 years. John R. McDermott, M. Mercer Neal III, and John R. Thompson. Would they come forward, please? I now call your attention to the second to last page of your program, which makes reference to faculty support funds. Gilman is deeply grateful to Mrs. Edward K. Dunn, her daughter Annine, and her 2 sons, Edward K. Dunn Jr. and Pierce Butler Dunn, both Gilman alumni, for establishing a fund in honor and memory of Mr. Edward K. Dunn, an alumnus of the class of 1918 who served Gilman as a trustee for 44 years, including the presidency of the board from 1949 until 1956. It is a special privilege now to honor 5 Gilman faculty members as Dunn Fellows for the coming 1987-88 academic year. I ask the President of the Board of Trustees, Mr. George Thompson, and the President of the Alumni Association, Mr. George French, to join me in presenting framed citations and cash awards to the following who were declared Dunn Fellows for the 1987-88 school year. Will the following please come forward? Mrs. Charlotte Taggart, Ms. Annie Laurie Tuttle, Mr. Peter Julius, Mr. Steve Sawinski, and Mr. John Schmick. The Class of 1947 Meritorious Teaching Award was first presented last year. The award is supported by a generous endowment which was raised by the members of the Class of 1947 during the last Capital Funds campaign. The award this year is unusual because it is a joint award to two faculty members who have been teaching at Gilman for 17 and 18 years respectively. The two awardees are responsible for Gilman students at their most impressionable and formative age. The performance of these two teachers has been exemplary in terms of both dedication and expertise. It is very fitting that the Class of 1947 Meritorious Teaching Award be presented to our two first grade teachers, Mrs. Wilma Hilliard and Mrs. Elizabeth McDonald. The Edward T. Russell Chair is presented each year to a Gilman faculty member who has been especially devoted to this school and who helps to perpetuate the life and ideals of Mr. Edward Russell, a distinguished teacher, coach, and counselor on the Gilman faculty for an unbelievable 48 years. He also maintained a close association with the school for 11 years following his retirement until his death in 1974. The recipient of this year's Russell Chair is someone who has been a member of the Gilman faculty for 32 years. He's taught in both the lower and middle schools and has also served as director of admissions for the upper and middle schools since 1981. He is a highly respected member of the faculty. I ask Mr. William M. Miller to receive the 1987 Russell Chair. I would now like to call upon the President of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Thompson, to say a few words. Mr. George Thompson.
Mr. Finney, members of the senior class, ladies and gentlemen, as you have heard, this is Gilman's 90th year. And by the time some of the students who are now in the school graduate, Gilman will have seen its 100th year. With the centennial in mind, the Board of Trustees recently appointed a long-range planning committee. Of course, a long-range planning study is meant primarily to look forward. However, such a study also provides a natural and welcome opportunity to assess carefully where we are. As we have been looking at where we are, it is easy for us to appreciate what our predecessors have done over the previous 90 years for the school. Founders Day is also a natural opportunity to see and to appreciate those who have made Gilman what it is. all of the constituencies are here today. As everyone knows, the faculty is the heart of any school, and Gilman's faculty, I can tell you, is the envy of a great many other boards. To the faculty, on behalf of the board, I say thank you for all that you have done and continue to do for the school. The administration, and particularly the headmaster, is the image of a school. I cannot imagine any better image for any school than Reddy Finney. And Reddy, as you move on to your 20th year as headmaster of Gilman, all of us thank you for what you are and what you mean to this school. Do in the future makes the whole enterprise that is Gilman seem, I suspect, to all of us engaged, what is worthwhile. To the graduates, our message is make the most of what you received from Gilman. Your college, your community, your world needs the very best that is in you. And to those of you parents, alumni, trustees, and friends of these graduates and of the school who have done so much to support these graduates and to support the school, thank you. We all have much to be proud of. Thank you.
We come now to the presentation of the diplomas to the members of the graduating class of 1987. This part of the ceremony represents the most significant event in the life of the school. Prior to asking Mr. Thompson to begin the presentation of the diplomas, I would like to express gratitude to a special group of people who not only have made the financial sacrifice to send their sons to Gilman, but as a group, they have been steadfastly supportive both of their sons and the school all along the way. These people are our parents, and I think we owe them a round of applause. The diplomas will now be presented by the President of the Board of Trustees. The order of distribution will be alphabetical. Mr. Neal will read the names of the graduates.
Before I begin the reading of the names of the graduating class of 1987, I'd like at this juncture to mention the name of Tucker Hebb, who was a member of this class until his death in 1983. A memorial is being constructed in his honor and memory, and it is appropriate to remember Tucker at this time. We'll now proceed with the awarding of the diplomas. Suresh Kumar Agarwal, Jr. Juan M. Alvarez, II. Eric Gunnar Anderson. Louis Francis Angelos. Thomas Mark Anal. Andrew Snowden Barker. William Struven Barrell. Neil Edward Bayless. John Gregory Bimsteffer. Justin Bloom. Christopher Charles Brendler. John Santos Buchanan. Kevin Alter Berger. Herbert Burgunder III. William Norris Calvert. Andrew McGregor Cameron. Edward Worthington Carroll. John Francis Kavanaugh. Yun Chun Chung. David Stewart Clapp. Alexander Hamilton Post Colhoun. Sackett Snow Cook, Jr. Mark Crossan Cupper. Todd Kendon Crandall. John Proctor Creamer. Kevin Macaulay Daniels. Van Clinton Durr II. Christopher Horton Edsel. Carlos Walter Evans. Andrew Morton Fine. Theodore Sanford Fish. Henry Carter Brogdon Franklin. Joshua Leon Freeman. Peter Gakuba. Edgar Hillary Gans, Jr. Paul Michael Garcia. Joseph Bennett Gardner. James Prince Gerlach. Douglas Munder Godine, Jr. Bernardo Gonzalez III. William Dunbar Gould V. Jonathan Stephen Guth. Simon Robert Bruce Hamilton. Eric Rawson Harlan. Andrew Bodine Hawes. Donald Bruce Hebb III. John Pritchard Hewson. Alexander Dennis Hernsage. Edward Weber Hohen. Jack William Hoffberger. Craig Allen Hosfeld. Hugh Osgood House II. John Teddeman Hull. Owen Slater Jacobs. Matthew Lewis Kashima. Day Up Kim. Son Cook Kim. Joshua Brian Curlin. Scott Philip Kurlander. Peter Oscar Kwitovich III. Howard Trung La, who is not here today, but it's appropriate for Howard's name to be read at this time. Let's have a round of applause. Byron Matthews Lawson, Jr. Brian E. Chun Lee. Hugh Jewett Marbury. Kenneth Mackenzie Marty, Jr. Brooks Bramble Matthews. Kevin Patrick McCambridge. Stuart Alexander McCaughey. Matthew Turney McKnight. Philip Hopkins McLean. Bruce Paul Melman. Robert Mayer Mendelssohn. Andrew Foster Meredith. Timothy Keene Miller. Robert Warren Mocker, Jr. Sang Woong Moon. David L. Morales. Peter Tully Owen. Brentnall Moss Powell. Craig Marquis Powell. Peter Jonas Ramos. Greg Allen Riccio. Randall Paul Reesner. Joshua Frederick Ringel. Christopher Bergstrom Robinson. Richard Miller Roebuck. Calvin William Rogers. Craig Robert Shear. William Christopher Schwartz. Pierre Domingo Silva. Gary Paul Sussel. Bruce Eugene Taylor. Johann Vincent Torres. He's here. Come on up. Kenneth Yates Turnbull. Peter Van Dyke, Jr. Alexander Frederick Vicio. Brian Lawrence Volper. David Benton Walpert. Stefan Thomas Waters. Richard Lawrence Weinstein. Ethan James Weiss. Clark Ewing White. Stockton Strawbridge Williams. Matthew Walter Weiskiel III. Robert Cyrus Yagani. Richie Ho Yu. Kenneth Daniel Zeitung.
You gentlemen have been a wonderful class. Don't spoil it all now. Before the singing of our concluding hymn, I would like to remind the audience that all of the students, trustees, and faculty will recess from this hall immediately following the benediction. Our graduating seniors will go first, followed by the faculty, the trustees, and the junior class. Will the audience please remain at their seats until the recessional is completed? We will now conclude with the hymn, Our God, Our Help in Ages Past, and then the final stanza of America. Thereafter, please remain standing for the benediction by the Reverend Layton. Let us rise and sing.
Please bow your heads for the benediction. May the Lord shed light on your path as you move from familiar surroundings to unknown times and places. May you have the courage to ask hard questions and the perseverance to track down honest responses. May you always seek after justice and bring relief to a world that hungers for your talents and your compassion. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make her face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.